and rolling.
Hi, this is Charlie Hume speaking to you from 2045. Fundraisers, you are not safe. You are not safe. The things that you know and do in 2015 are outlawed and banned in 2045. The only reason that I have survived here is thank God I was carrying my copy of Lucy Gower's Innovation Workout, which is required reading by law in here. I'll tell you about it as quickly as I can before I have to run. The guy responsible for this is standing in a room with you right now. If you want to keep your job as it is, you need to take care of this man. If you want to change fundraising and change the world, you need to follow this man. Here's what happened. Shortly after the case conference of 2015, Joe Jenkins led the fundraising preference services revolution. In a very swift, bold and powerful move, the man became chair of both the Institute of Fundraising and the editor of the Daily Mail. Looking back on it, a few people had been a bit suspicious when he started wearing a tie to work, but those people were very quickly reassigned to donor services and no one ever heard from them again. Joe's first move, when he was swept to power, was to overturn fundraising preference services. Now that was met with a lot of popularity at the time, but he replaced it with something far more deadly for fundraising. It was the death knell for fundraising as we know it in 2015. Because he introduced the Crimes Against Common Sense Act. And suddenly, everything that we knew, all the best practices, became outlawed. Several very well-known fundraising directors, and I won't name names, but several of them were arrested and tried on charges of crimes against common sense. The accusation was if best practices were best, surely things would have got better by now. They were banged to rights. Today, the fundamental difference in fundraising is there was an acknowledgement. Once people have been on the training course for common sense and been made to reassign and reevaluate everything, it was that there was a common understanding that fundraisers knew absolutely nothing useful about their donors. They knew nothing whatsoever about them. They knew who gave, they knew when they gave, they knew how much they gave, they knew by what channel they gave, they knew the demographics, they knew the gender, age, lifestyle, all of that stuff. But not a single piece of that information told you anything useful about why they gave. And if I don't know why you gave, how could I possibly call myself donor-centric? How could I possibly look to have a relationship with you if I don't know what your relationship is based on? So today in 2045, fundraisers are still gathering that information. But the thing that has to be fundamental and foundational for all strategy nowadays is understanding and being able to answer the why question. Why are these people doing what they're doing? So it's understood now and widely practiced that every interaction with your organization, not just fundraising, brand, donor services, comms, marketing, whatever it might be, creates an impression. And every impression creates an attitude, and that attitude determines whether you will stay or whether you will go. So fundraisers now's main priority is to capture that information and tie it back to the transactional and demographic information so we can see a true cause and effect picture. Now that we've got that, charities have become far more effective. So today in 2045, there's far less charities in the world than there is in 2015 for two main reasons. The first reason, again, under the Crimes Against Common Sense Act, it became outlawed that you have 17 different charities all ostensibly doing exactly the same thing. Okay? But more importantly, because charities now understand what their donors care about and can deliver greater value to their donors, a lot of them have gone out of business simply because they've accomplished their mission. They don't need to do it anymore. They've shut down. Just for a minute, I'm in 2045, you're in 2015. Never mind the next 30 years from where you're sitting. Look back at the last 30 years and we can see that absolutely nothing changed. From 30 years before you, nothing changed whatsoever. And it becomes obvious from where I'm sitting now that we learn nothing whatsoever from our past. But it's not too late for us to learn from our future. Things can change, things can be different. The only thing that you are missing in 2015 is the answer to the why question. It's a question you can answer if you start asking it. So your choice now, your options now is, do I gather that information or do I carry on as usual? If you want to carry on as usual, you need to capture Joe before he leaves and before that coup gets enacted. If you want to change the world, follow that man where he leads. Okay? Yes, maybe he shouldn't be writing for the Daily Mail. but yeah, it's a small price to pay. Thank you. I've got to run.